And the most important part is this does not mean that now we need to get rid of remote work, counter to the opinion of many, many, many CEOs, as we have seen lately. Not to throw shade, but like, yes,
Yeah.
to throw shade.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Friday Coffee Chat here with us. We are sitting here. We are in full spring weather and we are just enjoying some tea. I cannot wait for the iced stuff, but I feel like it's too early.
I already started.
You already started?
Yeah, I already started in, I don't know, late March, early April, somewhere there. I think
Oh,
early
really?
April.
I think I have this core belief that I think was instilled since I was like a child that spring is very deceitful and
Yes.
you cannot start too early with the warm weather stuff because it's never as warm as you think it is, and this is why people get the flu in spring. Anyway,
So-
you guys, today we wanted to touch upon a subject that actually we talked about but
Never like focused on it.
never
completely,
focused
right?
on it, and we only realized like when one of you DM'd us that, oh hey, like it would be really interesting to know about this, so thank you for the idea, to talk about remote work and to talk about how to make it work for you, because either you're working hybrid or maybe you're working fully remotely. Remote work is like a whole universe in itself. It's like a whole bubble in itself, and it has some differences when it comes to remote work versus office work that we wanted to touch upon, and especially how to make it work for you.
And I mean, if you guys don't know, but like this topic is so dear to us because
Yeah.
we do enjoy working from home. Both of us, I think.
Yeah.
I'm a very huge like proponent of hybrid work and remote work and in general like flexibility. And this is the thing, right? The one big advantage that comes with remote work, whether in a hybrid or fully remote mode. The great thing is that we gain so much flexibility and control over certain parts of our day and sometimes also certain parts of our work, which is one of the key drivers for us to feel satisfied with our job and happy and feel like, you know what, we have some control over it. Maybe even if I don't love exactly what I'm doing, maybe I don't love, the tasks that I have to do, at least I can choose, when to work on them, that I, at least, I'm at home. I don't need to spend time commuting. So the flexibility is a massive
Yeah.
pro when it comes to that. But
Yeah.
the
There's
reality,
a lot of challenges.
the reality is there are some challenges.
And there are
right?
actually 3 challenges when it comes to remote
Mm.
work. The first one is the fact that people who work remotely actually work longer hours. They work overtime. They tend to, overwork in the evenings, for instance. The second one is the fact that when you work remotely and when your home becomes your office and your office becomes your home, it's very difficult to separate between roles, and it's very difficult to separate and to create boundaries between them. So you kind of have everything piled up in one place, and that can be very difficult for the brain because the brain does like structure. And the third one is the fact that it might actually be more difficult to coordinate with others if, for instance, you're living with your partner and you both work remotely. And then you end up both being in meetings and texting each
Yeah.
other, please turn the volume down.
Especially when you don't have two separate workspaces that are,
Yeah.
where there's a door to close and that are somewhat like soundproof.
So what do we do? That's the question, basically, that we wanted to touch upon in this episode.
And the most important part is this does not mean that now we need to get rid of remote work, counter to the opinion of many, many, many CEOs, as we have seen lately. Not to throw shade, but like, yes,
Yeah.
to throw shade. Because you know what? There's so many advantages that come with remote work. So it's not about just don't do it and go back to the office. It really is more about being intentional about how you can still enhance your productivity and make sure that you can be productive also within that environment, and at the same time be very intentional about your work-life balance and setting certain boundaries and setting up certain systems that will help you to really maximize the benefits and minimize the challenges of remote work.
So in this episode, we prepared or curated. I love the word curated lately. It seems very like
it's very
put together,
but also like high quality.
Exactly.
It's like
so
the good stuff.
We have curated 3 strategies that you can use to make remote work for you. And they're mostly like lifestyle in that sense. So small lifestyle twitches that you can do here and there to make sure that whatever you're doing when working remotely works for who you are, for your priorities, for your roles, for your habits, for your routines, and just in general for your lifestyle. So you don't feel like maybe work is taking over you and end up working overtime, for instance, like a lot of remote workers do, but also actually enjoy the flexibility that comes with remote work. And the first one is about your space and having dedicated workspace for working, but also having dedicated work time for working.
And this really kind of goes into this debate of is it better to separate work from non-work, be it in terms of time, be it in terms of space, be it in terms of mindset or whatever, or is the right way to go with what people like to call work-life integration? And a lot of people are currently convinced that this is the way. But actually, when we look at research, what we see is that for most people, it is better to separate work from non-work.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's also like a question of, you have all of these entrepreneurs, especially, who live their lives with very blurred boundaries between their work and their personal life because they need to be available all the time for their business. And we get that. Like, we're not saying, hey, you know what? Now you have to like work a 9 to 5 and being an entrepreneur is not possible because you have to now separate everything. What we're actually talking about is separated in a way that works for you. So while we are very much against the work-life integration trend because we truly believe that in the short term it might help, but in the long term it might actually give you burnout, it is about making the separation work for you. And this can look very different for different people. So what strategies can you use to make your workspace and your work time work for you? And the first one is to have a very clear starting time of work, but also a very clear ending time of work.
Sometimes this is difficult. It's like you have the best intentions and then you're like, I'll close the laptop at 5.
Oh, I've had
and
that happen
sometimes
so
it just
many
goes
times.
on and it's like, oh, just a little bit. And the reason is like we oftentimes like those cues that we have, at the office. Usually when you're at the office, there comes a time where you see people packing their things, they're saying bye, they're going home. And oftentimes this is the cue for us as well. It's like, okay, it is time.
Yeah.
It is time, everyone's leaving. It's time to go home. I'm also getting hungry. So, let's go grab some dinner. But when you're at home, this cue is missing. So what helps, for example, to remind yourself that it is time to, finish your workday is to set an alarm. Simple as that. Just set an alarm for 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whenever you want to finish your workday. And this will remind you without you having to rely on, remembering to check the time and be like, okay, now is the time to call it a day.
I have to say, I did not expect setting an alarm to work so well when working from home, because I'm someone who tends to think about, oh, but there's always more work to do. You can always do more stuff. And sure, when you work remotely, sometimes you just lose track of time. Like the amount of times that I sat down and it was like afternoon and this whole task dragged into the evening, and the minute I look at the clock, it was close to 7 p.m. This happened so many times. And like, having an alarm is just such a simple trick to just make the switch. Like, okay, work is always going to be there, but I'm going to stop now.
It never really ends, does it? Like, it just doesn't. Another thing is, we also mentioned earlier is that one strategy is to have a separate and dedicated space to work at that really helps with making sure that, when it is time to relax and it is time to recover, that this is a different space usually than where you work, because otherwise what happens is, for example, if you use at the couch, but also the couch is, where you relax at the end of the evening to, I don't know, watch a movie or something. What happens is that this space then starts activating your work related thoughts. And this means that you're spending your time off work thinking about work. And we don't
Yeah.
want that. We really want you to be able to detach. And this is actually also possible even if you don't have a dedicated desk or a dedicated little office room within your home. I mean, I don't have a dedicated, let's say, separate room for that. But even if it is, for example, the kitchen table that you have to work at when you work remotely, that is fine. But just make sure that you identify which areas in your home are like your typical recovery, leisure, relaxation spaces, and make sure you don't work there. If that is the couch and the bedroom, for example, try not to work there and to really create this cognitive separation in a way that is tied to the spaces within your home.
Yeah, and I think it's just a rule of thumb, don't bring your laptop to your bed. As much as you want it, and as much as you want to just, start maybe the day a bit slower, start working from bed, check your emails, and then start your day, don't do it. Just really don't do it, because you are actually doing yourself a disfavor, even though you might think, oh yeah, but I'm just going to be more efficient. I'm going to have a slow start, but still be available and still do some work and still be efficient or productive. What you're doing in that moment is you are giving your brain the cue that it's okay to think about work while being in bed. So then don't be surprised when one morning you wake up and the first thing you think about is work related stuff, because you just created a connection between the space and work related thoughts.
This is yet another like situation where, maybe in the moment it feels so cozy and comfortable to, just stay in bed and maybe like go through some emails there. But future you will thank you when you don't do it and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this for my future self. I'm going to go to the desk or I'm going to go to the kitchen table and, even if it's a few emails, answer them there. Another thing is also, when you've tried setting the alarm, for example, as kind of like a signal to stop working. And if you're someone who still tends to maybe hit snooze or even be like, yeah, I'll stop it now, but I'll just answer this email. And then, 1 hour later, you're still sitting at your desk on your laptop doing work. What helps a lot is to make plans for after work. So this could be meeting friends, going for dinner, going for a coffee, or also just scheduling a workout class. And then you have a set commitment. Especially it helps when, other people are expecting you. So, you've made a commitment with someone else. And this will force you to not only stop working, but also leave the space a lot of the times and really kind of, leave the workday behind. And this can help immensely with stopping, having your clear working hours and stopping there, but also to detach from work and not think about it all the time.
And I think in general, it's just nice to have something to look forward to in the evening that is not work related, because that can also help you not live just for the weekends. Because when you have something for yourself after work, whether that's a gym class or whether you're meeting with friends, whatever that is, you know that within a day, it's not just work that is the main concern of your life, but you also have other things that are infusing your daily life that you find fulfilling. For me, that's actually like when my partner comes home. Like if he works from the office, because we actually try to take turns. So like it's not, we don't work remotely on the same day because it's usually very chaotic. But when one of us comes home, this is the cue to stop, because then we can really have an excuse to, just stop working and start spending time with each other and just, prep dinner and so on. So that is a cue, and that is like a rule that we kind of created. Sure, there are exceptions to that rule because life happens, but it does help with stopping at the right time and not letting this workspace or work related thoughts get into your evening and yeah, basically take over your entire work week. Before we move to the next strategy, make sure to like this video and please comment if you enjoy remote work or if you're the person who likes working from the office. And if you haven't subscribed yet to our Friday coffee chats, make sure to do so you don't miss the next one.
Yeah, and I feel like actually this also really ties well into the second strategy, which is to really make sure that you transition between your work role and your home role or your non-work role. So we all have different roles that we, take on in life. One of them is us as an employee or as a worker, as a working person. And then there's many other roles other than that, right? That is us as a partner, us as an individual, us as a sister or a friend. And when it comes to work life balance, it is important to also make space for each of those roles that are important to you and that play a role in your life. And so, especially when we work from home, we don't have that commute. It's not like you're sitting, I don't know, in the subway for half an hour, however long your commute is. Maybe it's a 20-minute bike ride, maybe it's a 20-minute walk. But whatever that is, this commute really helps us to kind of transition from our work role into our whichever non-work related role.
You know what this reminded of?
Well,
I don't know if you saw these social media videos, like these TikToks where, the person, or like, there's like a woman who is dressed very businessy and so on. And the minute she gets into her car, he changes into a hoodie.
Yes.
And like puts on a cap and turns on some gangster rap on. And then it's like, that for you is the perfect transition ritual that you can have, because you really intentionally enter a different role. You enter a different self, a different vibe. I mean, it is really that. And it can be anything, really. I mean, the whole point is to make this consciously. I think what can really help is to just ask yourself, okay, what has been going on? What do I need right now? How am I feeling? Let's say the day has ended, the work day has ended, and you just check in with yourself. And the minute you check in with yourself, you also allow yourself to enter into a different activity. And that can be really anything from changing into, a hoodie and putting on some gangster rap.
It really can be anything.
To taking a shower and taking off your makeup. That is for me my cue.
The shower.
I come home, or for instance, if I can go grocery shopping. So that's one thing. And this is when I'm like, okay, I'm going to go grocery shopping. Then it's dinner. So then no more work. Or if I work remotely, I have meetings, I like to embody my work self even when I work from home.
What does it mean? How does it look like?
That looks like I still wear like lounge clothing. So I still wear my sweatpants, but I do put a bit of makeup on, because when I work, I put some makeup on. Yeah, this is like an association that I have. So then my cue is to take my makeup off and take a shower. And that for me is as if I just went to the office, because I do the same. So I try to simulate the office day, but when I'm at home. So I basically take a shower and take my makeup off as if I've just been to the office, even though I just stayed in the same spot.
That is so interesting. For me, home office days are typically makeup-free days and lounge clothing. I just want to be comfortable. I want to enjoy and indulge, that comfort and just like coziness.
Yeah.
But it really is about, actually, it could be anything. It could be anything, whatever helps you to kind of make this transition from one role to another that you no longer have, through the commute when you work from home. Because when you work from home, you need to make up that, transition routine. I know a lot of people go for walks, actually.
Yeah.
So they work from home and then they will go on a walk, even if it's just like a short round around the block or something. This helps them a lot. It simulates that commute, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just, walked a little bit and I'm coming back as a new person.
in my home self.
In my non-work role, basically.
So transition rituals, super important for separating your work self from all of the other roles. And the great thing about it is that you can also learn more about yourself. Like you can learn what helps you disconnect, and you can do more of that. Or you can also experiment and see which activities you enjoy doing, whether that's a gym class after work, just a walk, or putting on minimal makeup when working remotely and taking that off to signal the end of the workday. The third strategy that we wanted to talk about today when it comes to remote work has less to do with the boundaries and, the work-life balance aspect of things, but is more related to productivity, because we know that sometimes it's a bit more difficult to be productive when working remotely.
So many distractions.
So many things to do. Like, sure, the amount of times I've slacked off when working remote, like, yeah, I'll just, have my coffee in peace for another 20 minutes and then I'll start working. Or, procrastination can also be a signal. But also the fact that you can do laundry, you can cook, you can do so many things while having your work day.
And at the same time, I would say it is about productivity. But for me personally, when I procrastinate, when, I'm like distracted by so many different things and I don't get the things done that I wanted to get done that day, it actually affects my work-life balance.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like productivity is also this one way of making sure that also when I work from home, that I still have this work-life balance, because when I'm procrastinating, I'm not like chilling and relaxing and everything's fine. No, I feel guilty the whole time because I'm telling myself I should work now, I should work now, I should work now. So
like, what are you doing?
It's like these strategies. It's like if you can make sure that at home you can also work productively and that you don't get like super distracted, it will help your work-life balance in the end as well, because you don't end up having to work long hours because you were procrastinating while still feeling guilty about it, so you weren't even actually enjoying the time you weren't working.
Exactly.
Right?
I think the worst here is when you have been slacking off, but then you put an alarm to end the workday and you realize you haven't done anything.
Oh my god, can you imagine? Thank god this has not happened to me just yet.
But it actually
must be frustrating.
It is very frustrating. And one thing that actually helped, because I've had days like that, is to just put away my phone. That is like the biggest source of distraction for me.
Yeah.
And I just need that not in my face. I sometimes even put it in another room. Sometimes I put it on airplane mode and I turn off the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Because I noticed I'm the most productive on a flight. The amount of stuff I get done when I'm in an airplane and the focus that I have is crazy. And I noticed that is because I know I have no contact with anybody else. So I'm like literally in this bubble. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no nothing. There's no way people can contact me. So I try to also simulate that. Whenever I work remotely, and it helps a lot.
And I would also say, like, even if you don't put your phone away, even though I agree this is the most effective way, to have it somewhere where you don't see it. Right, put it away, but like in a way where you don't see it as well. But if for whatever reason this is not feasible in your case, at least get an app that blocks social media for certain times, or any other app where you notice that it is distracting you, because almost automatically, or not almost automatically, you take your phone, maybe you wanted to check the time or whatever else, and you find yourself on whichever app scrolling and, being distracted from work. So if you're not putting the phone away, then at least get an app that is blocking social media and other apps that are distracting you.
And it can be different if you are doing a micro break, because some of us do enjoy having a micro break and scrolling on, our phones. Like the question that actually helps me a lot is if I've been scrolling for a while and I realize I don't remember what I have just watched, then I just need to put it away.
It's just doom scrolling.
Then
it
just
mindless
becomes,
scrolling.
Yeah, it becomes mindless. So I really try to be intentional with my scrolling time in that sense. And that really helps then with the whole break situation. Because you can really take a break. Okay, you scroll for a bit, you have a bit of a laugh, send it to a friend, move on and start work again.
I feel like another thing is also, especially in the context of working from home, are the chores, the household chores. And I will say, I'm the first one to have the dishwasher and the washing machine running while I'm working from home.
Yes, same.
And then I'll take a break to hang the clothes up. And I love it because I just feel like it's efficient. But
do you have this thing that sometimes you cannot start work until everything is clean.
Oh yeah, I always have that.
Because I'm like,
always.
if I work remotely, because if I go to the office, sometimes I can leave a bit of a mess because I know I can come home and then all the work I've done at the office and at home, I can deal with the mess. But if I work remotely, for the life of me, I cannot start working if the kitchen is not clean, if the laundry is not where it's supposed to be. And like, sometimes this makes me slack off as well.
I feel like the trick is to do this the night before. Don't leave it for the morning. There's
difficult. No, but like,
no,
I mean, for
seriously,
instance, no. I mean, like, for instance, after breakfast.
After breakfast, you just do it straight away.
Yeah, but then I want to do other stuff. Like, maybe I can clean the sink a bit. Oh, but maybe I can dust here a bit. So then it starts being like a whole
then
thing.
It becomes a whole spring cleaning.
Exactly. And I have this thing that I need to, okay, whatever, I'm just going to do this after lunch. So I have to set in my head, like, that this will be done. It will get cleaned.
Yeah.
But just not now. Now we have to do that.
Yeah, so really have like schedule a time for it.
Yeah.
During your time, while you're there, but maybe not just randomly, but really, okay, this is when I'm going to take a break and this is when I'm going to spend time cleaning the sink.
Another thing that is actually helping get into this like, tunnel vision and just keep productivity up is noise canceling headphones. Even at home, even when I'm alone, it doesn't matter. I mean, it is even better when somebody else is at home and I need a bit of a separation there to just not get distracted. But even when I'm alone, it almost feels like you're in the space and that's it. You're just in that space where you focus. Yeah. And this allows you to really get into the flow of work and not allow, your fridge doing some weird noises or somebody shouting outside or whatever it is to distract you because you're in that zone. I love it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because it's like, especially when it is quiet, more or less, every small noise will become such a distraction, I feel. Especially if you live in a, like, very central in a city or you have neighbors. So I like the noise cancelling headphones. But when I really want to focus, the one thing I do, I have a specific song. I think I shared it. I shared it like a while back in one of our stories, I think. But it's a song from Succession. It's called Power. Instrumental music, because I can't, like, if I start listening to lyrics, that's it. I'm distracted because I'm like,
you focus on the lyrics.
I'm vibing. I'm singing. I'm focusing on the lyrics.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's like this specific song, for me, it's like get shit done mode on, basically. If I'm in the tunnel. I'm in the tunnel.
So interesting.
This is like, hyper focus, doing what I need to do.
For me,
it makes me feel
that's
empowered.
rap, like just gangster rap.
But with lyrics?
With lyrics, but what helps the most? I don't even focus on the lyrics because they're just too fast. So,
but don't you want to like rap?
No,
like sing with it.
I focus on the beat, and the beat is usually monotonous. So you've got a monotonous beat that just keeps going, and you've got rap here and there. But for me, it's the monotonous beat is like, it's like this constant flow that gets me into a productive mode. I have done so much data analysis using this rap playlist.
What's your favorite rap playlist for deep work, for doing the coding?
Oh, it's anything really, like East Coast, West Coast.
We're talking 90s?
Of course. Yeah. No, not the skra stuff. That, no. Sorry. We're talking the OG.
Can you guess our birth year based on just the last 30 seconds of conversation?
So like 90s, early 2000s. And sometimes I like it when in my shuffle, so like in my Spotify shuffle, there's like a nice R&B song coming up. And then this is when I'm like, oh, if I notice that the music has changed, then I need a break.
Interesting.
So then I just kind of listen to the R&B song.
So it's like a built-in mechanism of not only does it help you to focus, but it creates a cue for breaks too. Man, that's one good system actually.
I love it. It has been working perfectly. So if you like rap, highly recommend. The last thing that we wanted to talk about is actually scheduling things. Because when you're working remotely, chaos can really happen. And if you don't have a schedule that you intentionally create, then it can be much more difficult to, first of all, stay disciplined with all of the goals that you have. Second of all, not let distractions take over. And third, also be at peace with yourself that you have done your job well and you can also dedicate time and space for other roles in your life.
I have to say, this really is the one thing that helps me to keep myself accountable. Like in the morning, or sometimes at the end of the workday the day before, depending on, how things are. But I will sit down and think about what are my top 3 priorities that I want to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I schedule them in the balance formula in the schedule. And like I will schedule the tasks, I will schedule the breaks, so I will pre-schedule them. Works really well with scheduling the chores as well. If this is something you want to do, and I will have dedicated times because somehow everything gets kind of blurred, right? And it's very different when you're at the office. But
I love
home,
the scheduling
I
part.
100% rely on that because then I know and I can keep myself accountable.
Exactly. And it also helps with just creating focus time within your schedule as well. So like for instance, like if you're doing a daily schedule, then you can actually like highlight your focus time and maybe also communicate it to other people. Like, hey, I'm in focus time between 1 and 3 every day or whenever I work remotely. And people know not to bother you then. Or you also just put everything on do not disturb so you can really get into the flow, get your get shit done song on or your rap playlist, put your noise canceling headphones and just be in that space. But I think what also helps me is what you said with the 3 priorities.
Yeah.
The task manager, like if I see like scheduled 4, if I see 4 things on the day that like on today's list, I know I need to delete one because like it's one too many.
Yeah. And you can always pick up, like if you're done earlier, you can always put a new one on your to-do list if you want to.
I think one of the overarching recommendations when it comes to remote work and when it comes to making your routines work and when it comes to not having so much chaos in your life is to start from a place of self-compassion and to just acknowledge that some days are better than others. And it's okay for sometimes for chaos to unleash, and it's okay to sometimes maybe have to order lunch because you forgot to prep it the night before. That is fine. These things happen, and it's not about perfection, but it is about doing what works for you. And we hope that this episode has given you the insights and the strategies on what to tweak in your daily life to make remote work for you. Have your boundaries in place, have your work-life balance in place, and also your productivity.
If you've enjoyed this episode, you can support our Friday Coffee Chats by buying us a coffee. You can find the link in the description below. And if you've loved this episode, make sure to send it to your bestie so that they can also learn how to make remote work for them.
See you next time.
Bye.